Hello and welcome to today's Product Roadmap webinar. My name is Andrew Dane and I'm our Product Marketing Manager here at ArcXP. But before we start, I'd like to go through a couple of housekeeping items. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a couple blue-green widgets that will allow you to customize your viewing options. Those primary widgets or modules on your screen are also all movable, so feel free to adjust your screen to your preferences during the webinar. We're also recording today's session, and you'll receive an on-demand version after the webinar. If you're having any trouble seeing or hearing the presentation at any time, just refresh your browser tab and log back in. That should solve the issue. If you're having any other issues, just chat us and we can try to resolve that on the back end. Also, we do want to hear from you and have this be as interactive a conversation as possible. So please take advantage of the Q&A tool. We'll see your questions as they come in throughout the webinar, and we definitely want to get them answered, whether it's during the Q&A portion at the end or following up with you after the webinar if it's something more specific to your use case. So with that, we're ready to get started. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Joe Croney, ArcXP's Chief Technology Officer.
Thank you for the intro, Andrew. Really excited to be capping off the year with our Q4 product roadmap update. Lots of great stuff to share. And this is being recorded. We'll share outputs of this. Some of you may ask for the deck afterward. Just let us know. And there's a lot of content to share. And that reflects really an amazing year at ArcXP, partnering with all of you, our customers, our partners, even our prospects on innovating for the media industry. So in terms of an agenda, we're going to be following through the similar pattern from earlier webinars this year. Quick introductions. I'll share a little update on our vision, and then most of the time will be spent on the roadmap itself, what's been delivered, what's about to come out of the lab, and where we're hoping to head next. And then we'll leave a little room for questions and feedback, as well as some resources you can go to make sure you connect with my team so that we can be building valuable additions to the ArcXP platform within our engineering groups. So this is the ArcXP PELT team, the Product Engineering Leadership Team. You'll hear from every one of these great leaders today. They all focus on a different part of our platform, and I'm so thankful that they're here with us, innovating, dedicated to the customer value that I know that you expect from ArcXP. So really excited to hear some of their insights as we go through today's sessions. As I mentioned, I do want to give a quick update on our product strategy. Much of this you've seen before in prior roadmaps, perhaps at ArcConnect, maybe at major trade shows. There are some slight additions, though, in terms as we start to think of 2026 and where we're going to take ArcXP from the innovation we've done with AI this year to where we can see that bringing more power to your newsrooms in the coming year ahead. So first, I did want to ground that we've remained focused on the core tenets of ArcXP as a technology platform. We remain cloud native. We remain having a SaaS delivery model. We're API first. We have modular services, and we have definitely doubled down the extensibility that our partners and customers can enjoy. And these are some of the same principles that ArcXP adopted over a decade ago, and they've really endured. And what we've not only seen them endure, but amplify, especially if we think about the extensibility. Oftentimes, we present ArcXP as this round circle, really a full platform. But under the hood, it's important to know it's always been microservice. In fact, if you look at ArcXP, I go to our AWS console, we run across dozens of separate AWS accounts that host those different microservices. And we have a strict architecture how they communicate through Kafka queues and other technologies. One thing that has changed over the last couple of years is the way we engineer and design the system so that those microservices do fit together, whether it's the documentation, the API signatures, or the end user UI to our editorial teams that we provide. From that OS, it really has focused on 3 pillars across this year, helping you all innovate rapidly with ArcXP, helping you to own your audiences. It's especially important with the changes in SEO and AI chat out there. And then finally, build independent revenue. So we do definitely present ArcXP as this wheel, ranging from creator apps to developer tools to first-party data to experience creation to Gen AI agents. However, as I mentioned, it's all modular. So we've taken ArcXP Intelligence and wrapped it around the core. And one of the things that's allowed us to do is not have to go to every single piece of the architecture. Instead, we've been able to put it around it and light up experiences across our APIs. And you'll see some of those in demonstrations today. The other thing it's allowed you all to do as customers is not to adopt the entire circle, but to do things like headless implementations, where you're really just using our headless APIs and connected to your rendering engine. We expect to see more and more of this pattern and flexibility for you in the years to come, where you'll be able to just use a piece of ArcXP and marry it up with technology you might already have in-house. Even technologies like a legacy CMS that you may have built or you have in one corner of your operation. We're looking to make it really easy to connect our ArcXP intelligence platform to those systems as well. So while we remain having value across the full spectrum of services in ArcXP, we're really focused on taking those fundamental microservice design patterns and giving you more flexibility in how you deploy ArcXP and connect it to other systems that you invest in, and that may be offering innovation that complement what our own team is doing. So that's a little bit of what you'll see from us next year, is more of a focus on having a modular pattern and how you can deploy ArcXP in your environment. Our core 6 values remain the same: fast, reliable, and secure, having extensible technology, offering efficient content workflows, especially with AI, deeply personal experiences and revenue intelligence. That's still a focus. It's been a focus all year long. We're hearing from the industry, whether it's in Audience 3.0, dealing with bot protection, bot monetization, trying to draw on your audience, that this is still a really important focus. So I expect that focus to continue, probably even more of the sharper point as we get into 2026 with the features that you see in those weekly release notes that come out. We also, as I mentioned, are definitely hearing from the industry that you're kind of stuck in Audience 1.0, those old patterns and workflows where it's a one-way conversation with your audience. And where we want to help Arc get you to is leaping into Audience 3.0. We think software is a big part of this. Certainly your newsroom workflows need to adapt. And we think our approach with the ethical use of AI, really taking the understanding we see from the thousands of sites on ArcXP and the workflows behind them, we think we've got an opportunity to really help the industry on this front. And that's where those deeply personal experiences are really going to light up. In terms of our core product strategies for the future, hyper-personalization remains really important. We believe that every one of your consumers should get a bespoke content experience, whether that's the modality of text, audio, or video, whether that's the tone, whether that's how you monetize it. Hyper-personalization continues to be a focus, and you'll see that in some of the features coming out. AI agents, we definitely want to have agents be part of your workflow, but to scale the storytelling you can do while remaining having the human voice. So that partnership pattern is what we're looking at. You know, Art Connect, we were talking a lot about whether AI has become a friend or foe to our industry, to our careers, and to us as individuals. We believe that's somewhat of a false choice. AI is a great tool to use, a great tool and partner that you can bring to your teams. Finally, immersive storytelling. You'll see things like Ask the News coming out, where we're going beyond the traditional ways of bringing stories to an audience and getting more immersive, more bi-directional, once again meeting the demand of Audience 3.0. And finally, underneath all this, we do believe first-party data is super important. You'll see some of the work coming out there. ArcXP is lucky to have a position where we see everything from when a story starts to when it's brought to edge, to delivered, to monetized. There's a lot of data there that we want to light up for you in your newsrooms and your business workflows to get that audience insights and personalization. So I said I would keep it quick. We're about 10 minutes in. That's not bad for the overview of our vision for ArcXP. Let's turn our attention to the roadmap itself. I think that's why many of you are here today. In terms of this year, it's been an amazing year of innovation. We did a quick check of where we stand here on the 20th of November, combined our outside-in customer strategy with your ideas, our robust teams, and we've delivered over 81 roadmap items already released in your hands. We used AI to help us find some patterns amongst those. And no surprise to me, it matches our core values: platform monetization, editorial intelligence, security, integration, extensibility, our core engine and system upgrades, and globalization, reflecting how many of you on this call are around the world today using ArcXP. So it's been a great year of innovation. This slide is one that many of you screenshot to see the specific items that are either available, like story validation rules, in development, like our new themes engine or AI assistant, or in the future where we're going with content types. But I know it's not digestible in this form. The team will be sharing a little bit more detail on some of the highlights. I also, taking an idea I got from a customer at Art Connect, wanted to share how some of these fit together. So if we think about the work we've done with Page Builder and MX to offer multiple experiences, that came out and many of you are adopting it. If you think about combining that with what we've done in IFX in terms of a clear CLI, new event architecture so you can see what's going on, and then marrying that up with the Arc Intelligence SDK, those are examples of items on our roadmap that we really think add up to allowing you to innovate rapidly. And that's how we think about these, not in isolation, but how you could chain them together as tools to build the future of your media business. Another example with the AI assistant. Today we have the AI editor. We've been allotted work with agents that Ryan will share in a bit. You combine that with audience insights in terms of how you can use our platform to understand your audience and target their experiences with what we're doing with Ask the News, that whole new experience. All of a sudden, we think those three things chain together into helping you own your audience. Finally, if we look at things like the paywall flexibility, we've actually re-implemented our paywall on the new Edge integration framework. We think about how you can combine that with Edge integration, with bot management and protection. And then finally, what we've done with video monetization this year, with analytics, server-side, client-side ad insertion. Those are examples of helping you build independent revenue. So hopefully that's a little bit more digestible in explaining how we go from our vision to the many items we're delivering on our roadmap into the real value that you have in your hands with ArcXP. Finally, it's worth noting this has been an amazing year of really bringing together the Washington Post innovative teams with my teams. And media is not just a use case for us, it's who we are. All of us choose to be in this industry, and it's one that we think matters. We truly believe that the power of storytelling can change the world. And what you'll see coming up next is some of the innovations that took place in the Washington Post business. We've learned from that, abstracted it, turned it into a B2B SaaS platform so that you can take some of that same innovation to your audience. So with that said, I think I'll turn it over to Joey to talk about some of what we're doing with AI.
All right, thank you, Joe. So yeah, as Joe was mentioning, we've had such an exciting year for ARC as a whole, and especially with AI in my space. I mean, when we first started our AI journey, which we talked about a little bit in the last webinar, we didn't really know where it was going, and we set out like a good workflows and set our ethical policy. And we've come a long way since we first started really experimenting with AI. And excited to announce, came out quite a few weeks ago. Our most recent release is our Arc Intelligence API for customer access. And with that, the first iteration of our SDK, which is an NPM package that accelerates some front-end development utilizing our API. But what's next? So a couple things. Really, Ryan's going to dive into a lot of the super exciting AI features we have coming, but I'm going to focus on Ask the News, and he's going to talk a little bit more about agentic workflows, but this is all really merging together. So for Ask the News, as Joe mentioned, we worked with the Washington Post team as the product Ask the Post to bring it to ARC customers. But to bring something to ARC, we have to kind of archify it, if you will, to make it global and multi-tenant, multi-language, and put into place a lot of the things you expect from ARC, but still deliver the same great product experience. So just dive right in, not bury the lead. I wanted to give a demo of an internal version of Ask the News right now that we're rapidly developing, give you a little bit of a preview. So as you can see, very similar experience to Ask the Post. We have recommended questions that pop up to kind of help the user with what they might want to ask, or they can ask any question. It summarizes a response based on your content, and you'll be able to filter what content's included. There's a lot going on behind the scenes, though, around query rewriting, also query blocking if there's kind of malicious inputs on the open internet. Also, we'll have a variety of ways to generate those recommended questions. And everything will be sourced. So you'll actually see where the content is, the content that informed that answer. So quickly, we want to go over really what is a RAG, because Ask the News is a RAG. It stands for real-time augmented generation. So what's happening is instead of just a normal kind of LLM, like just say asking a question, which it may or may not know, we actually leverage the content stored within Arc to augment that response and re-rank all of the potential sources for a response to make sure it's highly accurate. And we verify that and judge that. And we're already doing embeddings with our vector database solution in our advanced package. So we were already a lot of the way there. What we've inherited really from the Post is all their learnings around how really RAG should operate at scale for news. So how does a RAG work? Give you a quick overview. So it's actually somewhat more complicated, and this is a good high-level view. Is the user queries for something, asks a question, can look at all of that content very quickly through vectors, use contextual chunks, full documents, and then augment that response. And really, the capabilities behind it that make it very usable in news is it's already a semantic search. You'll have a lot of configuration around it to control content filtering, sections, what's included, excluded, and then also query blocking. So you can deliver the experience you really want to deliver. And with the internal beta coming at the very beginning of next year, you'll actually be able to try this internally before you release it to your customers later in Q1. So this is kind of that high-level flow where it's taking the question, finding the content, re-ranking, verifies the answer, and if there isn't an answer, at least having some supplementary responses of similar content. So we will have much more formal kind of one sheet coming soon to really highlight all the capabilities and to also gain some feedback. This will also be coming into the Arc Intelligence API, so you could build your own custom Ask interface. And we will also utilize this in internal capacity with a little less guardrails, so you can use it kind of as a super cert to ask things like, how many times have we quoted this source in all of our coverage? Making sure your story answers a specific question. So lots of exciting things coming with Ask the News. So to recap, where I passed it off. We have the private beta coming and the public release. Stay tuned for more information on that. We'll be releasing that right after next week, Thanksgiving. And we'll also be sending out a customer survey soon to ask for some kind of open-ended feedback around some of the kind of edge cases of capabilities, like how you would like the experience to unfold, content filtering, question generation control, things like that. So that will be coming very soon. To wrap up, this is our vision with Arc Intelligence within the Arc platform. And you'll see, and I hope you're starting to see today, we're starting to really round these out. So focusing on workflow automation, vector-powered content intelligence for recommendations, and our For You product coming, and Ask the News. And then you have full control over it. So just like you can control prompts, you'll be able to control Ask the News, and you can always have model flexibility. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mike.
Thanks a lot, Joey. I'm excited to be able to talk to you about two different projects that are going on at Arc. These are all a little bit future looking, coming out of both the content platform team as well as other parts of Arc. The first I'm going to talk about is content types. I know we've discussed this in a couple of the past roadmaps. I know a lot of you have been very patient while we've been working on this functionality. We had been hoping to show one of the first demos today, but we're still not quite there. But what I want to do is walk you through the story from front to back of where we're seeing the content type project look and what you can expect from a use case with it. So let's start with the day in the life. We start with Sam. So assume Sam's a developer at one of your organizations. He's a major news publisher, and he gets into the office. He's looking at his project list, and they've asked him to put together an event calendar. What does that mean? The first thing that he can do is start with a couple of our template schemas, and we're going to make a new kind of content within Arc. Not a story, not an image, not a gallery, but a new kind of content object within Arc. He uses the schema API. He can tailor the fields from a set of types. He can put in names. He can put in descriptions, some basic rules, and whether he wants to index the content or not. Then Sam can sit down with Cindy, who's the block developer at his company, and they sit down and they can make 2 page builder blocks. If they use a common scenario, you can then start with working code, but if not, you can build a block just like you always wanted to, right? So for example, they sit down and they grab the example blocks for event list, which shows a couple of different events in a row. You can use an example event calendar component. You can make an event detail page, and you can make the component for your article detail. So if you want to put an event into a story, how do you want the card to look? So all 4 of those blocks, they can start with the template, tailor them to their styles or their data, and then they can make the block. They add it to their bundle, and now they can move on to the next step, which is now that the content type is created, they can tell Jordan, who's in charge of local events, that she can go into the new tool, Data Center, and they can start adding and editing content for that content type. So they log in, and you can see there's a UI to let you filter and add and edit and create different content types. So they use Data Center, and they make some sample events, and they're all ready for use. And now the authors can come in. So you have a reporter, Mark comes in, who's using Composer, and now in part of his power up list, or in his content element list, he can see a new content element for data, for events. So he goes in and he selects a local event from the library, and he can add it to a story that he's doing on weekend activities. At the end of this process, just like everything else at Arc, all the stories and events are published. They're available through our retrieval APIs at scale. Whether you want to do it per event or you want to create a whole new area of your site leveraging MX and all the amazing work the cloud team has done, you can now make an event page that opens the cards, and you can have stories that point into it. So this is an example of one content element, which is events. The system is open-ended, so you will be able to make your own custom content types. You can make people, you could make celebrities, you can make a lot of different types of content and embed those within your story or call them directly from Page Builder. So we're going to have templates for a number of them, but you will be able to do what you want. We're also working, as you've seen some of the amazing stuff that the intelligence team has rolled out, we're going to be adding intelligence to content types. So just like you can go in Composer now and recommend stories, recommend images, recommend videos, it will be able to vector analyze your content types and allow you to recommend those as well. Then we're also leveraging some of our relationships in the industry to see if there are ways that we can jumpstart some of the content types. Work with some partners like Eventbrite, NASDAQ, ESPN, IMDb, so that you would have the ability to syndicate content for some of these content types from other providers. Finally, I know a bunch of customers have asked me about this in individual meetings and in roadmap conversations. It is the direction for this, that we would start by making content types as independent objects, and we would use some of the capabilities to make it more, to make custom fields within stories more flexible, easier to use, better indexing. So we're very aware of that request from a lot of our customers, and that's part of our roadmap as well. So where are we with this? The APIs are all up and running within Arc. We're testing them mostly around load testing. We know that this feature is going to be widely used. I think probably fully half of our customers have asked about content types at one point or the other. And we've had a lot of experience on this with power-ups. So right now we're in the middle of testing the core APIs. The data center is in the middle of being finished, and the admin tool for allowing an admin user, not an API, to create and edit schemas is also being developed. Intelligence will come afterwards, but our plan right now is to launch this beginning into beta at the beginning of next year. So you should expect to see some news from us after you get back from the holidays. Separately, there are a couple of other subjects I'll touch on. One is we continue to improve our headless capabilities. We have just released into Sandbox include and exclude filters for View API. So if you want to build a headless application using our View API capability, you can now decide exactly what you want in the request response information. We are finishing the next step for View API, which is making sure that we include other content types. So both view, video, and galleries will be available, and we expect that to be done around the end of the year. So the other two projects I've mentioned before that are still ongoing. One is our HTML to ANS library is being improved. And then finally, we've had a lot of feedback and interest in the content API dashboard that we created. A lot of customers are using it. If you like that, we are in the process of building out a draft API dashboard for customers that are trying to understand their usage of that capability. So the second future project that's in development, I've touched on it a lot in the last meeting, I just want to give a quick update on it, is the For You project. As we've discussed a couple of times, and we had a separate webinar earlier last month about the labs work that ARC is doing. A number of different teams at ARC are working on For You, which will allow vector-based recommendations within the ARC platform. So that project is still moving along. For those of you that didn't see it, the Reuters digital news report reminded everybody that story recommendations and news alerts are still top of mind for most people in the news business. And we are in the process of building out everything that we have discussed in our first milestone, which is the ability within your site to show a new block. That block will start by delivering popularity, but we'll move on to do collaborative filtering as well as vector recommendations. A lot of people have heard about two-tower models. So the idea is the first part is gathering the data from users, providing them with a powerful My News page that lets them not only see recommendations, but also see saved searches and their history, and give explicit signals. Where will that go? Then we have our new tool. And the tool is a new admin capability. And the admin capability will allow you to go in, decide what kind of recommendation profile you're going to create, what kind of placements or blocks are you going to put on your pages, and what profile are they tied to? What are your candidate story rules? You know, do you want to weed out stories from certain sections or certain types to not be part of the recommendation candidates? And then how do you want to tie to your CDP to pull back information on segments of users? All of this will also include an analytics module so that you can track the performance of your recommendations. Where are we? We're still building it. This one is a big project. Obviously, it's going to be used heavily for scale, but we are gathering pilot customers. We've talked to a number of them over the course of Q4. If you're interested in working with us in your new recommendation strategy, please let your TAM know. We'll reach out with you. But our expectation is that we'll start rolling out pieces of For You in Q1, Q2 of next year. All right, thanks. Now I'd like to hand it off to Joan.
Thank you, Mike. Hello, everyone. My name is Joan Branham, and I'd like to share what's happening within the developer experience space. So we are aggressively improving the content and capabilities to offer a best-in-class experience for your developers. We're empowering your development teams, we're fostering collaboration, and allowing you to leverage our platform. Oops. I hit next and it's not, there it goes. I apologize, there's a bit of delay when I hit that button. IFX event history is now available. It allows you to debug and refine your workflows faster. It enhances decision-making and improves your efficiency by reducing time spent searching for event details. We use this internally and found it to be a very productive, efficient tool. We're also introducing Arc Expert at the beginning of December, which will be your AI assistant that allows you to find information you need without waiting or searching through our documentation. You can receive accurate, content-aware answers powered by real content, and you can enjoy natural conversational support. Once again, this is an internal tool that we've been using at ARC, and we find it incredibly valuable. I apologize, but there's quite a delay when I hit the next button. And we're very excited to announce that we're introducing an AI-assisted code generator, which will accelerate your development with natural language commands directly within Arc XP CLI. You can generate fully compatible themes, blocks, chains, output types, layouts, and content sources, all in seconds. You can keep existing blocks aligned with the page builder engine enhancements, and you can transform user-generated or user-reported issues into AI prompts for instant block generation. What's next within the developer experience space? We'll continue to enhance our themes experience. We're creating a gallery of recipes or starter blocks. And as Mike mentioned, the content types, we'll be creating recipe blocks to support these new content types. For example, for maps, calendars, and events. Within the IFX space, we'll be supporting more events, including story schedule events and draft API events. And with that, I'll pass the ball.
Cool. Thanks so much, Sean. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Gladstone. I lead the Creator Apps. The first update that I wanted to share today is around a feature that's now available in production. We talked about this in a previous webinar, but with the story validation rules, you can set up rules to either warn or block saves or publishes, and have those have that feedback show up within the Composer user experience. And again, that's available to use now today. A feature that is somewhat related, it's in development and is getting ready to launch a beta in the coming weeks, is real-time draft API syncing. And this is something that we've heard from customers over the years where they have programmatic updates happening outside of Arc that they want to be synced in, and they don't want to have to worry about the story lock or messing up or overriding changes or having their changes overwritten. And so with this update, when you make a programmatic update, either within IFX or externally, if it's in the metadata or planning fields, those will be synced in directly to the story. And so the reporter or whoever's working in the story can see those updates, but they don't have to worry about it. They don't have to worry about their story getting out of sync or not having the most recent revision. And so if you have something that's updating the paywall status or setting tags, those will flow in automatically.
We have a save button active, and let's go to, I'm using a REST client, Insomnia, to make.
So next up, we'll talk about the AI assistant and where we're going within the experience there. So next week, we're shipping to Sandbox the first beta for the brand new AI assistant experience. And this will provide real-time feedback inline around SEO keywords, descriptions, and other fields, and the ability to review that experience. And we've been talking with customers over the last few months about what they want to see in that experience. And one thing that has come through loud and clear is they want really good visibility on what changes are being made and the ability to revisit those edits, and then in some cases, make sure they're okay with them before they're even applied in the first place. And so we've taken that feedback and translated that directly into the AI assistant. This new experience will be part of the beta for next week, and then we'll be shipping it to production shortly after that. And then in parallel, we're also working on a revamped backend that can be more sophisticated about what rules to run, what agents to call on. And so that's something that we'll be launching in Q1 of next year, a much more sophisticated approach to generating those suggestions in the first place, and then continuing to extend on the human in the loop feedback that we're building into the user experience. Cool. The next bit of AI enablement that we are getting ready to ship is a resolver assistant. And so we've heard from customers that it can be complicated to manage your resolvers, especially if you're not working in regex every day or you have a lot of them. And so we have a new assistant here that'll help you determine which resolver will be invoked for a given path. It'll consider all of your resolvers you have configured, and then it'll explain why it matched. And then it also is available to help you create new resolvers if you need to create one from scratch, and you can explain it in plain language, and the AI system will be able to produce a resolver that you can, or regex that you can then review and apply. Cool. Another exciting update that I can share on the Video Center front is that the Video Center user experience beta is now live for the first set of customers, and we'll be continuing to roll that out over the course of the rest of the year and into early next year. Let's see. It'll go to all customer sandboxes in early December, I believe in the first week of December. And then again, we'll continue to move some customers over as we have new capabilities within the experience and your full use case is supported. We're also excited to announce that Audio Center will be done by the end of the year. And this will be a new application for managing audio assets and strengthens your ability to build out more robust and personalized content experiences and enhances the text-to-speech workflows. And then one final update on the Video Center front is that we've added support for client-side mid-roll ads within the Video Center player. And this is in addition to the existing server-side ad insertion capabilities that Video Center offers, giving you more options on how to monetize your video content. Thanks all, and with that, I'll hand it over to Neil.
Thanks, Ryan. I've got to say, every time we do this, if I'm later in the order, it's awesome because I get, I don't know, kind of jazzed by all the presentations before me. So hopefully I'll get to mention a few of them as we go along the way. For us, I've been talking all this year, if you think about it, and I've been reflecting a lot. Last year, we talked a lot about MX and coming in through first quarter. This year, we've talked a ton about edge integration frameworks, and I'm excited to share some more about it. First, as you already know, in the now category, we've provided Data Dome. So Data Dome access is available right now today. And by extension, if you're thinking about monetization, Tollbit is also available through Data Dome. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. In terms of what's next, we have a few different things. One of which is first and foremost, is the monetization and personalization aspect. So, Mike talked earlier about the hyper-personalization. We're very directly involved with that in terms of that block you see on the homepage that might change super fast based on the content that was read, that kind of example. And eventually, we'll be working, if you look at sort of the later part, strategically where we're headed is the DIY build, right? Empowering you to be able to build your own edge integrations. And while that's not an imminent thing, that's on the longer category list, we want you to understand that's part of the strategy. Like we started with, here's things we'll build for ourselves. And then we moved to, okay, let's take and expand that to whether it's partners or vendors that we're going to start partnering with to start building out more edge integrations and growing that capability and the safety of that capability such that we can give it to you, that you can build your own eventually. So looking a bit at the Data Dome one, not only did we already release it, we've also released enhancements to it already. The first of which is the path restriction. So we had customers come and say, this is great. I want to send some content off the Data Dome, or I want to send my content off to, and if you're not familiar with Data Dome, it's effectively bot protection, right? And so that bot analytics and bot protection, we already had the Akamai Bot Manager product, and we still have that. We also have Datadome. When we brought Datadome out, there were customers that said, this is great, except I don't want to send everything there. I want to select specific paths to go that direction. Well, we've already released an enhancement for path restriction on your Datadome content that goes out. Second is the expand the header details. And so, identifying, giving you the ability to identify traffic from whether it's ChatGPT or other GPT agents to be able to isolate and understand that. And then third, outbound feeds, that there was a specific desire not just to protect your web content, but also to protect outbound feeds from any sort of bot scanning and scraping. All of those capabilities have already been delivered and released. We're excited to share. Now, we also talked in previous webinars about what is this thing about, you keep saying at Edge, and what exactly is Edge, et cetera. And I'm not going to take you through the entire dialogue of that again, but just as a reminder, if we look at the browser side of this, we have a browser hits the edge. The edge is, you want to think of that as sort of the CDN, the place that is closest to your readers, where we have, half a dozen data centers that we're pulling content out of. At the edge, we have thousands of points of presence that are very, very close to your readers, your customers. And the more workloads we can move closer to them, the faster we can make it, the more personalized we can make it. And that's why you see here in the About the Reader, the edge is really where we focus on the reader's experience. When we talk about in the cloud, or really, if you think about like Amazon data centers, that kind of thing, we're talking about the content, and that's where we talk there. Now, if you move from that and talk about, okay, where are we headed? If that was where we were, this is what I've shared previously about, well, at the edge, we're adding all kinds of things like advanced traffic control and experimentation and one-to-one personalization. But, here are the things that I can share that either we've already done or is currently in progress. First is the Akamai and Datadome, and I've spent a lot of time on that. Second is our content protection. And so this is our Edge content protection product, and basically our server-side paywall. Joe alluded to it. It's really Joan's area, but I'm so excited about it. I wanted to share it in as well as the dynamic paywall that is also currently in development with Pool. And so that's an additional integration. We had Datadome, we've got our own being built, we have Pool being built, and we have Tollbit. So I mentioned earlier that through Datadome, I can take and use Tollbit, or you can leverage Tollbit within the system. Within Tollbit, before you would have to pay for the Datadome subscription. When we build this integration, you'll have direct access to Tollbit, whether you want to use Datadome or not, that direct access. So you can already sort of start to see the momentum here. But really thinking about this, we also started thinking about what other integrations should we consider and what should it do for our larger sort of strategy and platform. And so from there, and sort of thinking a little bit about what Mike talked about earlier, we're now working on fast refreshing blocks. So we've talked in the past a little bit, you might have heard rumblings about like rapid page update, et cetera, which is a rapid page update. Well, with our move to the edge, we can move faster. And we thought, well, okay, page isn't good enough. What if we could take and make individual blocks faster? What if we could make that sort of in a simpler way? So if you see here, you see that breaking news. Well, it's not hard to make that connection with what Mike talked about earlier with the For You, where we would be able to take and say, here's a hyper-personalized block of news that pertains to you. But it doesn't just stop there. For our edge rendering, what we're looking at is, well, what if I could have a block that was specific to the election results, or specific to, the World Cup results that are coming out at this point in time? Wouldn't it be great if I could take and make those, instead of talking about it in, boy, it'd be great if you could, reduce this down to a minute or two in refresh. What if we could start talking about seconds instead of minutes? And so what we're actively working on now is the ability to update individual blocks, that what we call magic collections is kind of our internal, and it probably won't be the product thing, but it's kind of fun for us to talk about, is this notion of like whether it's a static piece of content, I just have this block, I want to update it, I want it to be updated immediately. Or maybe it's a collection, whether it's internal content or external content. Boy, it'd be great if I could take and refresh that because I need to hit the news out fast. That's really where it is with the fast refreshing block. So it weaves in with the For You, and it's empowered by Edge Integration Framework, but it gives a whole new power to that. So that's currently in development. We're also actively seeking folks that might be interested in this kind of functionality. If you are, speak to your TAM. Once we start putting it into beta, we'll be looking for clients that are excited about this. We know there's a number of you out there. Please do make your voice heard there. Next, and the final announcement that I really have is Page Builder 7 is in place. You've seen this already through the year. We've talked about it in a couple of previous announcements, but just wanted to make sure folks that are aware. So what do I need to know about that? Node 22 is in there. React 19 is upgraded in there. TypeScript 5 support was added in there. There's a whole migration guide that you can get to, and that's really important to us. But the other thing to know is Engine 6 is still in play, right? So Engine 6, Node 20 is available and active. Obviously, Engine 5 has been deprecated, and you would have heard about this all previously. But we did deliver Engine 7 back on October 22nd. And then the final thing I'll say is just to remind you of, anytime we don't take those engine upgrades lightly. We know that they amount to some level of work. We're always excited to give you new functionality to stay up to date with the latest capabilities. And so we do want to empower you with those latest node versions. But there's a couple of other parts that are key. One is we're seeking to minimize the work that you have to do in order to do that upgrade wherever we can. Sometimes we can't avoid it. Node deprecations, we can't avoid. Outdated libraries that might be included, we can't avoid those. And we're excited to give you those new capabilities. Finally, additionally, we want to enable you to plan and schedule your upgrades. It was important to us to make sure that you had Engine 7, you knew exactly where it was, and that you have a good roadmap going forward. We're getting further and further ahead of any sort of node deprecations. We want to provide you clear support. We take that very seriously. And then I think most important, we want to promote consistency. And the key piece there is that if there's one thing that you're counting on us to do, is for your site to be available, to run, to show in public, right, for your readers. And so we do take that super serious. So with that, that's all I have for this quarter. I'm going to go ahead and hand over to Joan.
Thank you, Neil. All right, hello again. I want to share what's happening in the revenue engine space, and specifically what's going on within Arc Identity and subscriptions. We're empowering publishers and broadcasters of every scale with greater flexibility, personalization, and control. How are we doing this? We are allowing you to collect first-party data to own your audience relationships and personalize your experiences. We're moving beyond static paywalls with continuous experimentation and dynamic paywalls with our integration with Pool. And we're enforcing Edge content protection at Edge to safeguard your premium assets. We need some little music to play while these slides load. Here we go. Our first-party data collection services is being tracked in what we call our audience insights. And we are delivering audience insights iteratively. We started in Q3 with delivering bookmarks. In Q4, or now available, is key value pairs and IAB. So key value pairs allows you to store your data, whatever data you want. You set up the data, and then we provide validation checks on the value data. You can follow the IAB standards for consistent taxonomy, and that is your Interactive Advertising Bureau standards. And you can send these requests to IFX for external connections. Also with IAB, we're allowing you to leverage author and section preferences to surface relevant content. You can analyze this follow data to deliver personalized newsletters, notifications, and subscriptions offers aligned with your reader interests. We're also, with Audience Insights, allowing you to connect with any identity platform, which will allow you to get the key features of Audience Insights we previously mentioned: bookmarks, key value pairs, section and author preferences, and IAB taxonomy standardization. You can protect your user data and identity with JWT authentication, secure cookies, and CSRF safeguards. Neil previously talked about edge integrations, and we are taking advantage of the framework that his team built. We've built edge content protection services, which will be available in December, which will allow you to secure your most valuable content. You can render content at edge based on the entitlement status, making paywalls secure and virtually impossible to bypass. This will be integrated with bot management, referral agent targeting, and flexible workflows that'll let you combine server-side protections with client-side targeting and personalization. And of course, we want to announce our integration with Pool. Pool will work seamlessly with ArcXP identity and subscriptions, so every prompt, wall, or offer will follow the correct access rules, creating a reader journey that feels seamless and native to ArcXP. Through Pool's SDK, Journey Builder, and A/B testing tools, teams can launch and refine experiences without custom development. And with Arc's Edge content protection, you can keep your premium content secure at the CDN level. You can ensure readers always see the right experiences by connecting Pool's access rules with Arc's identity and entitlement services. And with Pool's A/B testing tools, teams can experiment with wall design, messaging, or entire reader journeys. You can launch and monitor experiences instantly with Pool's no-code interface. We'll have blogs coming out on this on Monday. This will be in production on the Arc's development portal site. Pool is also announcing this on Monday, and this will also be in the audiencers. What's next in the revenue engine space? As Mike mentioned, For You recommendations is coming. We're also working on a dynamic paywall, and I love how Joey said earlier in this presentation that we're archifying the things that WAPO has built. With Audience Insights, we'll continue to expand data collection, and we're going to integrate Audience Insights with AI, CDPs, and marketing tools to enable intelligent segmentation. Before I move on, please watch our development portal. We have lots of blogs coming out on all of the new features that we're building across Arc. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan. As promised, we had a lot to share today. Lots of detail beyond what you see here. It'll come out in our release notes, in our developer portal, in ALC. But I did want to do a call to action. If you're interested in any of the betas that were mentioned today, whether it's Ask the News, the video editor UX, or the AI assistant, please reach out to your TAM. They've got all the details they need to get you connected to our product team so you can get involved in the early stages of this. And it's worth noting that betas at ArcXP aren't experimental. They're when we're just about ready to ship. And so it's an opportunity for you to help us validate the design, but you should not expect to see a lot of quality issues because we've already done the work to test it and get it into a state where we think it's worth putting your time into and your newsrooms team into experimenting with. So please reach out on those fronts because it's an invaluable way where you can help us build the future of Arc. And on the front in terms of the future, if any of you happen to be going to reInvent in a couple of weeks' time, we are doing a session on Audience 3.0 and hyper-personalization. We'll have some really exciting demos to share there of how we're using AI to take the valuable stories that are already within your data corpuses, already in Arc, whether it's videos or text or articles, and be able to transform them using AI to be hyper-personalized for your audience. So we'll be doing that the first week of December in Vegas. We're not sure if the session will be recorded, but if you're interested in hearing more about what we're doing there, please let your TAM know and we can set up a briefing with the product team. Finally, get engaged, whether it's in these beta programs or roadmap webinars. Thank you for coming today. Please share with your colleagues the recordings. The Ideas Portal has come back to life. We talked a year ago about how it had some cobwebs. That was both cobwebs in terms of how actively my team was looking at them, making sure we followed up, and cobwebs in terms of how many new ideas were coming in. Ryan kicked off the idea program just about a year ago, and you've started bringing those much more frequently into the Ideas Portal. So please keep those coming. That is kind of the lifeblood of where we first look when we're trying to figure out what new capabilities in ARC your team needs today. Finally, we have some innovation exchanges we've been kicking off with customers, and this is an opportunity to go beyond the roadmap, to share some of your business goals that aren't front and center today, but might be an OKR that appears as you get into later next year. Those are cases where we'd love to have a conversation about not what's about to be delivered, but what might come not next year, but 2 or 3 years from now. So that's another opportunity you can reach out to your TAM about, and something I'm very excited about because our team loves nothing more than to talk to our customers and to hear your feedback. And not only the good stuff, we want to hear the bad stuff. Where are the rough edges on ARC? Where are the gaps in the solution that you really wish were there? I think you're seeing we're taking strong, bold action on those fronts, whether it's a new audio center package, whether it's the AI API getting in your hands, or what we're doing with content types. These are things that we've heard from our customers for many years, and hopefully you see we're doing something about that feedback and making sure you have options to pull in across the ARC spectrum. And the last thing I'll say before we get to questions is we love our events. We had a fantastic one in New York just not long ago. Last week. It looks like the system's lagging for me just a little bit here. But it was a fantastic time together. And I'd encourage you to keep your eye on the lookout for future ARC XP Connect events around the world. With that said, do we want to get in some questions? Andrew, that's something perhaps you can facilitate.
Yes, we did have a couple come through during the webinar. And if you do have additional questions, please submit them now. We do have a couple minutes, so hopefully we can get to them. First couple questions are for Mike regarding content types. I believe you answered these individually, Mike, but just want to answer them for the record as well, because I'm sure a lot of other folks on the call may have the same questions.
Sure.
So for content types, what happens when an editor updates information in an event? Is that updated everywhere? Can it be duplicated?
So the short answer is that they are, it's composable content. So the content type record, you could think of like we treat videos. When you put a video into a story, it's a reference, and all the places where that video exists, if you update the video, it updates the stories, right? So content types are the same way. If you make an event record, for example, and you put it in 3 stories, and it's in your calendar, and it's in a section page, and you update that event calendar, all of them update at once.
Okay, great. And then when you mentioned custom fields for these new content types, is that going to be the ability to actually have custom fields on those types, or what does that look like?
Sure. So I want to be clear with this. There are custom fields and stories now. Kickers and labels allow you to do a limited set of options that are available to the authors and composer, and additional properties let you put in an unlimited amount of data that unfortunately isn't visible to authors. One of the kind of key requests we've heard people ask is, can we kind of combine the best of what we're doing with content types and additional properties and kickers and labels and make one coherent place for all content that you want to extend in a story of different field types, make it searchable, etc. And the answer is we're very aware of that use case. We are going to get the core independent content types working first, and then we'll be doing the ones that augment the stories.
Okay, great. And then final question for you, Mike. Will custom types be available through the Migration Center APIs?
Yes. So the draft API actually has a new message type within it for content types. So it will be usable directly within Draft API, Content API, and Migration Center.
Okay, great. And then I have a question for Ryan. For the auto-applied draft updates, will that also apply to top-level additional properties trait of an ANS document?
Yes, my understanding is it does apply to top level and really anything that's not in the content elements. I will cover one caveat there that I'll need to follow up with the team. So if that's a use case you care about, please check in with your TAMs. But my understanding is that everything besides the content elements is fair game there and will be updated behind the scenes, even fields that are not visible within the Composer user experience. Thanks.
Okay, great. And then another question that just came in, I believe for Neil, is for the magic collections and rapid updates that we mentioned for page builder blocks. Is that something that's going to apply to articles as well, like for article updates or like a live blog type story?
Yeah, eventually I would expect so. Yeah. I mean, I think the initial go at this is if you think of sort of crawl, walk, run, right? Initially, it's going to be static blocks. So think of it as a small static block that's not dynamic. It will eventually turn into a dynamic block where we can sort of pull any piece in. And then it's certainly within the realm of expectation to say, yeah, this would be a dynamic page that we'd be able to build. And there's a variety of ways we could go about it, but it's definitely on the docket as to something we're looking at.
Okay, great. And then I have one more question for Mike, popular person for questions today. Is ARC planning to get involved in the mobile app space at all as an extension of the CMS? Or are we just going to provide APIs for clients to integrate into their own solutions on that side?
Sure. So I think some of you that have worked with ARC in the past know that we have worked on a number of different methods of helping our customers with our mobile apps. We had a mobile SDK for iOS and Android. It didn't actually get used a whole lot. And kind of where our view of the headless market for mobile apps has gone is we have some of our customers who have very advanced mobile applications that are native, and they are able to use our APIs directly. And we have examples in the Dev Center about how to do that and best practices. The second option is for customers that don't want to maintain their own native app and want to be able to kind of outsource that capability. We have a great partnership with a company called PugPig. We have a deep developer relationship with them. They add our features very quickly. And you can work with PugPig to have them create a really high quality mobile application that's very media centric. So you can do that as another option. And we have some customers that are also doing variations of mobile web hybrid, in which case Page Builder will work for you. So there's a big spectrum of mobile solutions out there. We're trying to support all of them. If there are places where you think we have gaps, definitely put them in the idea portal or reach out to Joan in the developer community or myself. We'd love to talk to you about it. We don't think there are gaps in that spectrum of options, but if there are, you should let us know.
Awesome. Well, I think that's it on the question front. So just want to say thank you to everybody for joining us, taking some time out of your day to learn about what's coming to ArcXP. Stay tuned for an on-demand version. We'll be sending out recorded on-demand version later this afternoon. So stay tuned for that, and please reach out to us if you have any other questions. Thanks. Have a great day.